Good news you can use whatever phone, yeah. She got the good news you can use. Good news you can use for your life. So listen up, everybody. Listen up, everybody. She got the good news you can use. Good news you can use for your life. If you wanna get the info that'll help you throughout your life, yeah.
Hello, and welcome again to another edition of the Boomer Beat Special Edition. We have been talking over the last few weeks to people who are reflecting on the would have, should have, could have of their lives and how just one different decision could have altered their entire course. And today it gives me great pleasure to introduce you to someone that I know virtually, like is one of my BFFs, Brooks Bays, who is joining us from Hawaii. Hey, Brooks, how are you?
I'm good. How are you? And
I'm hang.
aloha kako.
There you go.
Love
I don't
and
know. I
greetings
know
to
you said
everyone.
hello. What does that mean?
It means may there be aloha between us all.
Oh, that's beautiful. Okay, aloha between us. Okay,
Yeah.
you're gonna have to teach me that. All right. So, in your 50 plus years of existence,
63.
63. Okay, 63 years of existence. Tell us about your upbringing and how you ended up in Hawaii.
Well, first the earth cooled and then mammals evolved. No, I was born in 1958. My father's a fighter pilot. My mother was an elementary school teacher, and she dropped out, stopped being a teacher, school teacher when I was born. I was the firstborn, and I was born when they were 23 and 22, so they got at it. I was quiet, shy little, old soul. My high school teacher said that I was a sweet little boy and a nice little man growing up, and I think part of that comes from having been gay and having been born gay. And I knew that I was different in a fundamental way, but I didn't know, I had no vocabulary for it because in the 60s, I mean, that was certainly not the only time it was ever talked of was, extremely disparagingly. So I grew up thinking I was the worst thing possible and being told explicitly I was the worst thing possible. But because no one knew what that was, or knew that I was that, except people randomly on the street yelling at me, I got praise and love. My parents were good parents, but they didn't know they were raising a little gay boy. So I think they did the best they could with the information that they had. So went to college at the University of Texas because we were Texans and it was cheap and it was a good school. And studied animal behavior
Oh,
and step by step by step. And came to Hawaii to study the behavior of whales and dolphins in the natural environment. But got sick with some neuromuscular thing and couldn't do field work anymore. And so I had to develop something that I could do sitting down when I had energy. And fortunately, my obsessive compulsive nature worked for being a draftsman. And so I did charts and graphs and maps and scientific illustrations. And so for the last 35 years, I've been a illustrator, scientific illustrator and designer at the School of Ocean and Earth Science and Technology at the University of Hawaii at Manoa. So then 25 years ago in on November 17th, in fact, I met the love of my life, James Robert Ness, who's a physical therapist. And I moved to Hawaii. I moved to Arizona to be with him was there for 5 years until he died, and lupus and cerebral vasculitis. And then I moved back to Hawaii. where I still had my job, and there were these two fabulous kids who I helped raise, who now are 34 and 31. When did that happen?
That's what we all say. So, what
So
brought you
here I am.
specifically to Hawaii? I mean, was that on your map of places to go,
Not
your
at
destination?
all. Not at all. And I mean, it's actually a hysterical story. I applied to graduate school because I had been in the psychology department studying animal behavior. There were relatively few programs that studied the natural behavior of animals, which is what I was interested in, the wild especially, because I tortured rodents already in labs and I didn't want that karma anymore. And I applied, the school I wanted to go to was Purdue to study wolves.
Oh.
And I heard from another school that I had applied to kind of on a whim, and they wanted an immediate answer. And I hadn't heard from Purdue and hadn't heard from University of Hawaii. I only applied to 3. And called Hawaii, and they hadn't decided yet. And Purdue, where I wanted to go to study wolves, had lost my application. They had no idea who I was. So I had to turn down the other place because it ended up not being what I thought it was. And so I was for 2 weeks. What am I going to do? And then I got the acceptance to Hawaii, but it had been actually my third choice.
Oh.
And I was actively uninterested in being in the tropics because I don't like to be hot and humid. But I was really interested in whales and dolphins. So here I am.
Oh, that's interesting. So how did you, okay, so if you were in Hawaii, how did you meet the love of your life?
He moved here to, because of his lupus and his vasculitis, he needed someplace with minimal barometric pressure changes. And so he moved to Hawaii, from first to Arizona, then to Washington. Mahoney was an object in motion, and I was an object at rest. Is the way I characterize him. And so I think the best couples are one person is an object in motion, and one person is an object at rest. And so he was the object in motion, and he came here to and immediately joined local TV, local access, cable access program out in Paradise, which was GLBT life in Hawaii, and I was the chair of the task force on sexual orientation at the University of Hawaii. And so we'd had our coming out day fair, and the sound was bad because it was a windy day. And so they had to record a voiceover. And so he came and recorded me, and we clicked. And then he went on vacation 2 days later for 2 weeks because it was Thanksgiving time. And we emailed back and forth. And by the time we were done emailing, we had fallen in love with each other, and we barely remembered what each other looked like.
Oh, wow.
Except that
Really?
we were, attracted, but not like, oh my God, you. But it was like, oh my God, this guy. I love this guy. Would I recognize him if I saw him again? Oh yeah, there he is.
So let me ask this. Let's go back a little bit.
Okay.
Did anyone ever try to convince you that you were not gay? And, trying to exercise the gay out of you. I mean, you hear those stories.
Right.
Did
So-called
anyone,
conversion therapy.
yeah,
No.
did anyone try? No.
Except American society in the 60s and 70s did its damnedest to convince me that I did not exist.
Right.
That a boring, vanilla, in many ways, guy couldn't love another guy. That was impossible. It was grotesque. It was, but I was never subjected to that because I didn't come out to my parents until I was 38. So, and I don't think they would have tried that, but I don't know.
Have you ever thought about how things have moved in your life? Because here's the deal. Had you not come to school in Hawaii, you would not have met the love of your life. Well, chances are pretty good you wouldn't have unless you went to Scottsdale and you already said you didn't like the heat.
Well, I
So,
like the heat and dry. I
so,
love the desert. I love the desert
so how have you ever thought about that?
all the time, all the time. And that's, I mean, that's the wonder and the terror of life is every minute, every decision we make affects everything else that happens in our lives, and decisions that other people make
Yes.
affect our lives in ways we don't even know.
That's
Ways we
right.
don't even
That
have
is
any
so true.
idea.
I'm so glad you bring this up because there are people who make decisions that they think are for our good that may not necessarily be for our good,
That's right.
and we don't even know they're doing it.
Exactly. Exactly. I mean, that's something I've been thinking a lot about recently is nice guys are not always good guys. And kind of the other side of that, they think they're acting for the good. They think they're acting within their own rights. You know, they're not doing anything wrong. They're doing what's perfectly legal, what's perfectly reasonable. You know, sometimes I think, you know, there's an idea that people have a purpose in this life. And I think, what if there's this one guy whose sole purpose in this life was to be the guy who told Rosa Parks, get out of your seat. That's what he was born for. That's what he lived for. He did that, and he moved on for the whole rest, lived his life, and had no idea that that's what he was there for. If people are here for anything, to give her the opportunity to say no. She was ready. I mean, you know, she was ready for that opportunity. She was looking for it, and you know, they worked because she'd worked hard all those years to prepare for that moment, and that was his job. Was to be the
Are there
jerk.
any things on your bucket list that you still would like to accomplish that you haven't?
I don't have a bucket list
You do not.
because I think that's too many plans that I have made in this lifetime have not have fallen through or been destroyed. And so I just see a bucket list of, gee, I need to do this before I die, as setting yourself up for disappointment.
Okay.
And I mean, life's given me enough disappointment compared to a lot of other people, hardly any, but you know, plenty for me. But there are lots of things I'd love to do. I'd love to go to Scotland. I'd love to, you know, there are things I'd like to see. But if I died tomorrow, I'm an absurdly lucky man.
Do you think you'll ever leave Hawaii and move back to the central United States?
The distinct possibility. It would be very hard to retire in Hawaii. It's really expensive. And, you know, if my job goes extinct for some reason now, I probably couldn't afford to live here without a job. And 63, graphic designer, that's people aren't hiring that.
We all know ageism is real.
Ageism's a real thing. And even if it's not ageism, it's just my skill set now is deep, but it's not that wide. So I'm not that great at WordPress. I mean, I can do it.
Okay.
But if I have to compete with someone a third my age who's good at it.
Are you looking to find love again? Do you think you'll ever find love again? Do you want to be in love again?
That's a huge question. I would love to, but again, it's kind of that real, properly calibrated expectations are the key to happiness. I'm 63 years old. I'm attracted to other men my age group, generally. The majority of the men who are in my age group are attracted to younger men. Talk to any of your girlfriends who are in their late 50s, early 60s, and they're looking for men, straight men. I mean, this is just kind of a guy thing. The pool that I would be drawing from is very small. Half of us didn't survive the 80s. We've been through pandemics. We've been, so if I met a guy who was my age, attracted to people my age, who was not insane and not already in a relationship, that'd be fabulous. Am I expecting it to happen? No. Have I already had so much more than half of my friends have had? Yes. So would it be unreasonably greedy to demand more? Yes. Again, I am an absurdly lucky man.
Wow. It's like I don't even want to say anything else. It's just so you've got me mesmerized. You got me sucked in. Okay. Wow. Okay. Well, okay. So as
I had not intended to do that. That was completely
but I mean, yeah. Okay. Well, okay.
But I've kind of given that parts of that speech before. I'm not quite that way, but it was like, yeah.
Okay, well, let me snap out of it and ask this last question.
All right.
What words of wisdom would you like to share?
Oh my gosh. I wasn't prepared for that. I was kind of prepared for what would you do different?
Well, I'm going to ask you that too, but let's do it this way. Let me ask you, what would you do differently first, and then your words of wisdom?
Okay. I would have come out earlier. I would have trusted myself more, and maybe that's my words of wisdom too. Trust yourself, trust your heart. Your brain's an idiot. Bless his heart. He's mushy and he's susceptible to 1,000 influences, but your heart, if you're listening to it, is a better guide. I think Emily Dickinson has a little couplet of the sailor cannot see the north, but knows the needle can. Probably mangling that, but yeah, I would have trusted myself. I would have trusted my heart and said, yes, this is who I am, and who I am is good. The love I feel is good, and the people who are telling me that I am bad are wrong, even though they're nice people. Who, maybe people I love, they are wrong, fundamentally wrong.
Wow.
So.
Oh, I don't even want to end this interview, but I have to. Thank you for those deep thoughts. I mean, I don't know if this should be called If I Knew Then. I think it should be Deep Thoughts with Brooks Bays. That works.
Oh my God.
Thank you so very much.
Deeper than usual. Thank you.
I know, right?
It was an honor and delight.
I sincerely appreciate it. And to those of you who will be tuning in, thank you so very much. And remember this, you have gifts to give to the world. So find your own unique voice and prosper and stay empowered along your journey. See ya. Thanks, Brooks.
Thank you. Mahalo piha. Thank you so much.
Good news you can use for your life.